Good evening, everyone. This is Melissa Thomas of Florida National News coming to you with the evening news rundown for your Wednesday, July 15th, 2020. Thanks for tuning in. Now, very quickly, I did want to put out an ad note for any businesses that are interested in advertising with us on our platform. Be sure to send any inquiries to ads@floridanationalnews.com if you're interested. We'll be glad to get in touch with you and get started. Now, as always, we like to start you guys off with the world reports in terms of COVID-19 recent cases and deaths, as well as here in the United States and in the state of Florida. So globally, the World Health Organization is reporting over 13.1 million confirmed cases and over 574,000 confirmed deaths. Here in the United States, Johns Hopkins University is reporting over 3.4 million confirmed cases and nearly 137,000 confirmed deaths. Here in the state of Florida, there shows no signs of stopping. We're currently at well over 301,000 confirmed cases and over 4,500 confirmed deaths. Now, jumping into our world story today, the UK, specifically England, will be mandating masks in shops and supermarkets. Now, England is one of the last countries to do this. There are several other nations in Europe that have already levied that mandate. Theirs will be going into effect on July 24th. The UK made this announcement on Tuesday. So starting July 24th, if you're going shopping, you'll need a mask. And if you violate this particular policy, you can face fines up to £100 or 125 US. So this announcement, this new measure is coming as a report from the Academy of Medical Sciences made a very stark warning that the UK must now prepare for a potential new wave of COVID-19 infections in the winter, more serious than the first wave, with a, quote, reasonable worst case scenario of nearly 120,000 COVID-related hospital deaths between September this year and June of next year. Now, last week, the head of Britain's National Academy of Sciences, the Royal Society, said that the UK was, quote, way behind many countries in terms of wearing masks. Now, other nations in Europe that have started this mask mandate include Scotland, Germany, Spain, Italy, and Greece. They've already gone ahead and put that mandate in place. As you guys know, as we've been reporting here at the Evening News Rundown, the UK is one of the worst hit countries in Europe with COVID-19. Right now, they're reporting almost 45,000 COVID-19 related fatalities, putting them third behind Brazil and the United States in COVID-19 related fatalities. Now, jumping here to the United States, and a bit more positive news as it relates to COVID-19, Moderna, their coronavirus vaccine, is ready to advance the final phase of testing. Now, the research group reported their findings on Tuesday in the New England Journal of Medicine. They reported their findings on the first group of 45 that they tested back in March. So the results are showing that the subjects' immune systems are improving the way the scientists had hoped. So Dr. Fauci was saying, quote, no matter how you slice this, this is good news. Of course, the group behind this is his colleagues at the National Institutes of Health in partnership with Moderna, Inc. Now, the final phase of testing will begin on July 27th to a group of 30,000 people. So we'll continue to see how things progress. The study is going to prove if the shots are really strong enough to protect against the coronavirus. Now, in the earlier group of volunteers from back in March, the early volunteers developed what are called neutralizing antibodies in their bloodstream, which of course are molecules that are key to blocking the infection at levels comparable to those in people who survive COVID-19 without the use of any experimental vaccines. So that is what these guys are reporting. Now, the vaccine requires 2 doses a month apart, and there were no serious side effects, but there were some side effects. And according to the study, the side effects were typical to different other vaccines. So half of the study participants reported flu-like reactions, including fatigue, headache, chills, fever, and pain at the injection site. Now, for 3 of the participants who were given the highest dose, they had more severe reactions. And as a result of that, obviously, the research group is choosing to not pursue that higher dose because they don't want that kind of reaction in the general public when it's open to the general public. Now, nearly 24 possible COVID-19 vaccines are in various stages of development across the world. You guys heard us report about that. And candidates from China and Britain's Oxford University are also entering into the final testing stages. So the race is on right now in terms of the COVID-19 vaccine. So we'll keep you guys posted on that, continue to keep you updated. Now, jumping here to the state of Florida, Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings said that the Orange County Convention Center could possibly become a field hospital for COVID-19 patients. He made the statement during his Monday COVID-19 press update. He said, quote, if we need to do that, if we would need to do that, that would only happen if we exceed here in the region hospital bed capacity. He said, if we are chosen, the convention center would be a site for as many as 500 beds for Orange, Osceola, Seminole, and Lake counties. So watch this space, guys. We will continue to keep you guys updated on that. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick commercial break and come back with a couple more stories for you.
My name is Russell Drake. I'm an Orange County resident and a community advocate. On August 18th, I'm voting for Rick Singh. Rick Singh has been an outstanding property appraiser for the last 7 years. Under his leadership, he has returned $1 billion to the county. Under his leadership, property value has gone up, and he is now managing over $206 billion in assets, the most in county history. Under his leadership, there have been a series of awards won by his hardworking staff. He has set the tone for that. Furthermore, he's a man of his word. He's no stranger to the community. From the east to the west, from the north to the south, property appraiser Rick Singh is in the community. He held a series of homestead exemption seminars around the county, catering to your needs. Rick Singh is here for the people. So on August 18th, I encourage you and everyone you know to vote Rick Singh, re-elect him for property appraiser.
Re-elect Rick Singh for Orange County Property Appraiser.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Evening News Rundown. In another U.S. story, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is being treated in the hospital for a possible infection. The Supreme Court released a statement on Tuesday saying that Justice Ginsburg was being treated and is expected to stay in the hospital for a few days following a medical procedure. The court said that 87-year-old Ginsburg went to the hospital in Washington on Monday evening after experiencing fever and chills. She then underwent a procedure at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore on Tuesday afternoon to clean out a bile duct stent that was placed there back in August of last year when she was treated for a cancerous tumor on her pancreas. This is somebody that keeps on ticking. In the statement, they said that Justice Ginsburg is, quote, resting comfortably and will stay in the hospital for a few days to receive intravenous antibiotic treatment. Now, we know this is someone who is no stranger to hospitals, and she spent a night in the hospital back in May with an infection caused by a gallstone and was still working. While in the hospital, she participated in arguments the court heard by telephone due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So again, we'll continue to keep you updated, but we know she is no stranger to medical issues. She continues to fight and go on strong. Now, jumping back here to the state of Florida and a bit of election news, actually, a police union, the Fraternal Order of Police, has chosen to pull its endorsement from Orange County Sheriff John Mita after issuing a survey which reported low morale. The Fraternal Order of Police sent out a survey to 1,000 deputies, and the survey results have shown, it was a 16-question survey, and the results found that 88.7% of them believe that the sheriff's office would not support them if they were involved in a use of force situation that was in accordance with policy if the situation received public criticism. And of those who responded, 73.1% said the morale is low or very low at the sheriff's office. And a total of 77.4% of them said that they believe the union should withdraw its endorsement of Mina. And 67.3% said that they believe Mina has not delivered or gone against his campaign promises. Now, back in June of 2018, when then Orlando Police Chief Mina was running, the Fraternal Order of Police did endorse him back then. For his part, with these results here, Sheriff Mina said, quote, the workers are always going to work, and those who don't want to work are going to use something like that as an excuse. Again, I would love their endorsement, but if not, I'm going to continue to work hard. The plot thickens. We know this is an election season. We will continue to keep you guys updated on that as well, because the primary is right around the corner, August 18th. It'll be here before you know it. But stay tuned here, guys. We're going to take another quick commercial break and be back with your business and sports story. And it is Worker Wednesday, hashtag Worker Wednesday. Wednesday. So Angel Perry is on deck waiting backstage to join us for a great conversation. Stay tuned.
We wanted to move back home to be closer to his family. We decided to go with pods because things were stressful enough.
We weren't sure how long we were going to need storage for, so we needed something that was flexible, and then they can deliver the container to wherever we move to.
We haven't found the perfect house yet, but we're still looking.
All right, guys, welcome back. And in this business story for today, Amazon is testing a pilot program for a new healthcare center. So this pilot program is in partnership with Crossover Health to bring convenient healthcare to warehouse workers. The tech giant's first neighborhood health center in operation is based near its Dallas-Fort Worth fulfillment center, which has more than 20,000 employees. That's a lot of people. The Amazon's Vice President of Human Resources, Darcy Henry, said in a statement, quote, "Across the U.S., an increasing number of patients do not have easy access to a primary care physician and instead utilize emergency or urgent care options, which is not only more expensive for patients, but also overlooks important preventive care opportunities." Now, she went on to say that Amazon wants to solve that issue for its employees, and the new healthcare program will, quote, "provide a range of quality primary care services for employees across the country, further strengthening Amazon's industry-leading benefits program." This is what she's saying in the statement, which provides comprehensive healthcare for employees starting on day one of employment. Now, if the pilot program is successful, Amazon plans to extend the program into 20 health centers serving more than 115,000 employees in Dallas, Phoenix, Louisville, Detroit, and San Bernardino, California, plus other locations in the future. Now, jumping down to our sports story, Nugget star Nikola Jokic has cleared quarantine and has entered into NBA's Orlando bubble. He had tested positive for COVID-19 back home in Serbia, so he has been in isolation since back there and has finally cleared isolation and quarantine to be able to enter the bubble. He was able to join his team on Tuesday night and watch his team practice. Denver head coach Michael Malone said it was great to see him. He's absolutely happy to have him back. His team is happy to have him back. Now, as procedure, if a player flies commercially to Orlando, he must have 3 consecutive negative tests before resuming basketball activities. For someone who's flying private, and in Jokic's case, he did not fly with his team. Obviously, there were travel issues there. Now, he had to quarantine up to 48 hours and test negative 2 more times, especially if they fly privately. So that is the NBA's mandate. He said his positive test had come as a surprise since he was feeling asymptomatic at the time back in late June. And you guys know, you've heard our lovely Casey Hudson talk about that during the FNN Sports Take. She's always hammering the asymptomatic thing, kind of bringing that home. But fortunately, he is here in Orlando now, safe and sound, and has tested negative and is back with his teammates. Now on to our hashtag Worker Wednesday story for today. This is relating to the current top of mind discussion about teacher and student safety as it relates to going back to school in the fall, as students return to school in the fall. Now, the story we did want to harken back to was something that actually happened back in June. There were 3 teachers in Arizona who were sharing a classroom during the summer term. They were teaching summer classes, and all 3 contracted COVID-19 despite following all the CDC guidelines. They wore their gloves, they wore their masks, they used hand sanitizer. Unfortunately, all 3 contracted it, and one of them, Kimberly Chavez Lopez Bird, unfortunately passed away back on June 26th. She had ended up hospitalized, and she died less than 2 weeks later with being in the hospital. So in terms of relating to here in the state of Florida, we did want to bring in our lovely Angel Perry, who is the Executive Vice President of the Communication Workers of America Local 3108 Union. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, Angel.
Thank you, Melissa, for having me. I'm happy to participate and give a little bit of insight on what's going on here in Florida.
Yeah, so kind of contextualize this for us here. Obviously, we show love and respect to the families of all three teachers, but certainly of the teacher who passed away. But talk a little bit about what we need to be focusing on, especially as teachers kind of wrestle with the possibility of going back to school in person. What should they be thinking about in terms of their students? what options do they have?
So I want to first say my condolences to the Bird family out in Arizona. It's a terrible loss, an unnecessary one. And, you know, prayers and strength to the family during this very horrific time. Here in Florida, I did have some teachers reach out to me from Osceola County, and they gave me a little bit of insight on how the administrator there doesn't have any protocols for notification. There's several staff members that have contracted COVID-19. No one was told officially. They talked among themselves, and apparently there is one staff member that's in ICU on a ventilator as we speak. So that's scary. Additionally, I was also informed that there's nothing set up. Now, we all knew about this virus back in March. School's been out, but there hasn't been any dividers on desk. There's nothing in place. There's this up in the air approach of figure it out as you go, but people die. People die. There's no way to tell how this virus will affect you. Right now, the state of Florida is at a 1.5% death rate out of all the cases, and it's daunting. There should be options to do virtual school. Watching some of the language in the meetings this morning, there seems to be pressure on the brick and mortar. The teachers aren't being heard. The parents aren't being heard. The leaders in the education system are not listening to the teachers. And then the people that seem to be making the rules, their kids are safe and sound in private education. So, you know, they're telling the general public, hey, you know, they're going to figure it out. Don't worry. At the same time, they have the funds and money because of their income that their kids are safe. The other daunting issue at hand, once protocols are in place, you go by CDC guidelines, it's the repeat exposure that makes it dangerous. Just like we're having a shortages of nurses that are getting sick and ill, same thing with our first responders, EMT, and the police. Now you're asking teachers who already are underpaid, so are the school systems, are already lack of funding, to now figure out how to combat this virus and have repeat exposure. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Wow. So then what do you propose as a solution? Because the virtual schools have been proposed as an option between, we reported Seminole County talking about that, Osceola County has been proposing it, Orange County has been proposing it. What do you feel is the best solution going forward for schools to reopen?
So from my understanding, it should be the choice of the individual school systems with all of the staff. There should be a vote of the option for virtual, the option for in school. This is the United States. It shouldn't be just one way or the other, you know, just dictated. Every community is different. There are some communities that have little or no exposure to the virus. And with CDC guidelines, that would be plausible for social distancing, having the desks set up properly so that the kids are protected and the teachers are protected. And then there are some places like Miami-Dade or Orange County where exposures are everywhere. It just does not make sense to have the teachers repeat exposure. So it needs to be a very clear language in operation that what makes sense for the community that you're in, that's what, and let the teachers lead. Let them tell you what makes sense, what keeps the kids safe, what keeps them safe.
Got you. And then the other thing to consider too in this argument is, you know, we're talking about it from the teacher standpoint, but we also have to consider the students as well, because some students don't learn their best online, even though there is that safety thing. Some are more bodily kinesthetic. They learn by doing, they learn by interacting with other people. So then there's that. We did have a colleague on in a recent interview last week, and one of the things he asked was, for the younger students, how do you enforce the mask? Which, that was an interesting question, because kids are active. So, just considering the safety measures with that, in terms of social distancing, like what you're talking about with the partitions with the desks and things like that. So.
Now, one thing that I've come across is bubble hubs. So you're supposed to, in general, with this virus, have your absolute contacts, whether it's, your spouse, your kids. If they design those kids that need the interaction, it's not plausible for the mask and everything at all times, is if you have a smaller annex group where those kids, maybe 3, maybe 5, and those families are the only ones that stay in contact to each other. And then the teacher is the distance learning instructor. So there have been some talks across the country for there to be like bubble hubs where it's not bunches of kids, it's very controlled and structured. They still get their social interactions, and the control factor of keeping the virus at bay is more plausible. So that was something that's been brought up over and over, is having just these smaller connected classes in that respect, where they do have the one teacher and maybe 5 students, and they're just a bubble hub for learning.
Wow. How do you think that's going to affect their learning experience, though, too? Because yes, it is safer having just that bubble of 5 kids.
Right.
But it's like, what if my best friend is like over there?
Right.
Right. Like, what if my best friend is in a different class? I just, thoughts on
that. That's the most difficult part. Technology is going to have to be the tool of the trade. iPads, webcams for laptops. People really need to start to use the technology that we have. Video calls are going to be what is going to keep people connected, to be able to see facial expressions. Yes, you're going to miss out on those hugs that we are used to getting. I'm certainly starved, but we got to stay safe. We got to stay safe and protect the next person. It is about protecting the next person.
All right, well said. And we'll keep the conversation going. And guys, we welcome you to join the conversation as well. This brings us to our audience question, like, what do you guys think should happen in terms of going back to school? Like, what do you feel is the best option for schools to safely reopen? How do teachers and students, reconcile their safety while, reconciling their need to socially interact? Leave your comments below. We'd love to hear from you guys. In the meantime, we definitely thank Angel for coming on.
Thank you.
As always.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Yes. And guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break and wrap up with your entertainment story. We'll be right back.
It takes experience to know the difference in property values. For example, this business is not the same as this business. And this house is definitely not the same as this house. And this, well, this is definitely not the same as this. And that's why it's important to have someone who understands true property appraisals to help our community grow, while making sure everyone pays their fair share. Because experience matters. Re-elect Rick Singh for Orange County Property Appraiser.
All right, guys, welcome back as we wrap up the entertainment story for the day. You guys likely heard the news from Dancing with the Stars. Tom Bergeron, the host, the longtime host since from the beginning, was not invited to return to host for the 29th, yes, 29th season. Instead, they have announced that Tyra Banks will be the new host for the upcoming 29th season. Now, Tyra, for her part, said in a statement, quote, "I've been a fan of Dancing with the Stars since its beginning. The fun mixed with raw emotions, seeing celebrities push past their comfort zones, the sizzling dance performances, it's always transported me to my days of turning it up 10 notches on the catwalk. Tom has set a powerful stage, and I'm excited to continue the legacy and put on my executive producer and hosting hats." Now, Tom Bergeron is exiting the show after 15 years. And of course, his former co-host, Erin Andrews, she had exited after 6 years. So Dancing with the Stars is, of course, due for a revitalization, if you will. And we know that Tyra Banks is no stranger to hit television shows. She hosted and executive produced America's Next Top Model and The Tyra Banks Show. Remember The Tyra Banks Show? That was a pretty fun show. And she also enjoyed a stint hosting America's Got Talent. Now, BBC Studios LA Productions general manager Valerie Bruce, they put on the show for ABC. Now, Valerie said, quote, "Tyra Banks is an icon whose powerful presence, trademark confidence, and industry-leading achievements inspire us. We are proud to partner with ABC to welcome her as the new host of Dancing with the Stars. This represents a landmark moment in our 28 seasons producing Dancing with the Stars as we take this iconic show in a new creative direction. We offer our sincere thanks to Tom and Erin, whom we will always consider part of the Dancing with the Stars family." We'll continue to keep you posted on that as well. Very interesting. But in the meantime, guys, that does it for us here at the Evening News Rundown. Thank you guys, as always, so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, be sure to like us on Facebook. You can find us at Florida National News, at FNN News TV, and at FNN News Live. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and click the bell. You'll find us there at Florida National News. And on Instagram, follow us at Florida National News. We want to make sure that we are as easy to find as possible. And one more time, if you are a business owner, you're part of a company that wants to advertise on our platform, be sure to send an email to ads@floridanationalnews.com. We'd love to reach out to you and get you guys started. Now that does it for us here tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Take care.